Welcome to the Curated Beauty Podcast. Jessica Christie here, a health and beauty enthusiast who became a medical practitioner to be the authority on how to enhance both your outer beauty and inner beauty for the most confident glow. Founding and owning a multi-million-dollar aesthetic medical practice in Michigan, my mission is to bring all the bi-coastal innovations to the fresh coast of Michigan, from which aesthetic treatment gives you the most bang for your buck to how to create systems to be both professionally fulfilled and still have freedom of time and relationships. We will be diving into it all. Welcome back to the Curated Beauty Podcast. I am your host, Jessica Christie, and today we are going to be talking about beauty where it isn't just skin deep. And I hope that you are in for this little intellectually stimulating and thought-provoking moment where we talk about 3 different ways that other people respond to you when you are in a growth phase. So we're going to dive into the fascinating intricacies of your growth personally, spiritually, whether it's business, your career, and talk about how crustaceans intermix into this. And they, believe it or not, are one of the ways that people respond to you. So it really, crabs actually reveal a lot of human nature and ambition and growth journey. And especially in the world of business, I've teased this topic a little bit on my Instagram stories, but it's really time to kind of sink our claws into this topic, no pun intended, and really kind of talk about how there's such a symbol for personal transformation. And actually, we talk about this a lot in my business coaching group. I've talked about this with my therapist, and she was the first person who brought the whole concept of the crab mentality up to me, because that is something that as you grow and as you are on a personal transformation type of a journey and you're about to jump into this next stage, you can make people feel uncomfortable because that's on them. Don't worry, it's not on you. You don't need to do anything about it except recognize it. And, I'll give you some little tools at the end and tips, but it can sometimes have intermixing, relatable feelings for others that then may make you question yourself. So let's get on with it. First, let's just talk about the 3 ways that people respond when you grow. I had mentioned the crab thing. We're going to dive into that deeper, but the first one is the cheerleader. And the cheerleader is like, I'm inspired. These are the people who see your growth and they are genuinely inspired and in awe, and they can take something, a page out of your book, but it's in a positive way. And these people cheer you on, they celebrate your successes without really comparing them to their own life circumstance. And in the business world, this could be people like your mentors or advisors or fellow entrepreneurs who know the climb and have probably been there themselves and who want you to succeed, or even just like a super small sector of people who really just genuinely are so kind and they see you as an inspiration without, again, comparing and saying, well, gosh, if she can have that, that means I can't. Number 2 is the eclipser, where they're just like, this is too much for me. This category is like a little bit more nuanced, where these people who find your growth too much to handle, they don't necessarily drag you down, but instead there's just like a slow attrition of them out of your life. You'll usually find these people to be either old friends, maybe family members who were comfortable with the old you and how you fit into their lives. But the new you can sometimes be either intimidating or alienating, or they just don't get it and they slowly kind of fade away. It's kind of like a song phasing out at the end. Like there's nothing crazy that happens, just fizzles out and it's okay. And then there's the crabs who pull you down. And the whole crab mentality is very interesting because, again, I'm not talking about the whole part of how the crabs like molt and shed their own old shells for new growth. That does happen. But also there's this fascinating crab mentality that's a concept of kind of like striking parallels to how humans respond to us, especially, again, in business and personal development. And it's something that can really be intriguing because it shines a light on how someone of our own peers can hold us back from growth because we feel uncomfortable by their reaction. And it sounds very abstract, so we're just going to visualize it. So imagine a bucket of crabs. If one attempts to climb out the others will literally drag it back down. And researchers have actually observed this as a natural phenomenon. It's not just a metaphor, but it does serve as a profound metaphor as how us as humans can act when someone in our circle is on the verge of really significant change in our lives. And in business context, these can honestly be competitors trying to undercut us, or even friends and family just sowing seeds of doubt, whether it's intentional and full of malice or just unintentional and they just don't understand. But the crab mentality in business worlds just isn't about overacts or trying to pull someone down. It's often much, much more subtler and can really manifest as like a passive aggressive comment here and there, unsolicited advice that just really kind of creates self-doubt and even withholding support or resources that could help you succeed. And we can see that sometimes within even parent-child situations, adult children that are kind of starting to open businesses or career directions that they want to go in. It's like, well, if you do that, I'm not going to support you. So when we, think back to business and like how this has affected me and how I think that this affects a lot of my peers, the crab farmers that were observed and kind of brought this about, the behavioral scientists observing this pattern were looking at this and really looking at like the lid no longer becoming necessary at a certain point because the crabs would pull each other down and, make sure that no one escaped and everyone was nice and comfortable in the bucket alone, even though they were going to literally end up as someone's dinner. So they're very self-regulated, enforced in their own limitations. I mean, this has so much human social context. It's insane. But especially when you do get out of the bucket and you do climb to that next level, potentially this proverbial bucket, of course, it really brings me to the existential loneliness that really comes with the territory of business ownership or even just personal growth. And the phrase, it's lonely at the top, like really rings true, not just for CEOs, but anyone daring to climb out of their comfort zones. And the path that you tread is definitely paved with risk, whether it be financial, like you're potentially rolling the entire dice on what you're doing. I did. Emotional, social, like it's, no one wants to be lonely, but it's a social climb. And not everyone in your life will understand all the sacrifices that you need to make your priorities happen. There's, like sleepless nights, maxed out credit cards, like there's so many calculated gambles that you make along the way. And of course, they have very, very high payoffs potentially, but it doesn't mean that they aren't scary. So first of all, how do we navigate this loneliness and external resistance? That is really key here. First, mental resilience is non-negotiable. You have to develop some kind of selective hearing where you hear the constructive criticism, it hits you, it's valued, but discouragement is like for sure filtered out. And tools like meditation and journaling can really keep you grounded and align you with your true north. Because if you don't have a firm purpose and firm goals and firm priorities, then what's to stop someone from pulling you away from them when they feel uncomfortable? Gratitude, purpose, those things when regularly expressed can really act as anchors for your own mental well-being. The other thing that you really need to do is make sure that you're setting really clear boundaries. So while you might respect other people's perspectives, the decision-making reins must firmly be placed in your hand. And remember that after all, it's your venture, it's your risk, your life. So make sure that you're surrounding yourself with a tribe that really amplifies that energy. And they're more in the category of number one, which are your cheerleaders. And you need to choose that group and cultivate it very carefully. They need to be, again, like I said, mentors, fellow entrepreneurs, a supportive community. That's why business coaching groups are really important, or other female in business sort of groups that you can align with and meet with frequently so that you guys can share these concepts. These are your co-climbers, and these are the people that understand the grit that it takes to escape the bucket and cycle break and cheer you on rather than pull you back down. Also, you need to keep your vision at the forefront and remind yourself why you ventured into this in the first place. Your why is literally the strongest shield against all the tugs and pulls from those stuck in the bucket. So I guess simply put, it's setting boundaries, finding your tribe, and really holding your vision and making sure that navigating all these complex terrains of growth, be it either in your personal life or business, is never a solitary endeavor. It's like interweaved with all the complexities of like so much noise, but it actually is also super lonely. So it's very interesting and tricky. And the view from the top is obviously significantly better when you've had the right people climbing alongside you and when you can reach down and then help someone else. And so that would be my encouragement, is like, whether you're feeling crabby or inspired, I hope that you walk away from this episode with a renewed understanding of the social dynamics at play in your own journey towards growth. And when you see people that are climbing and they're about to jump to that next phase, rather than reaching up and grabbing onto them and pulling them back down towards you, encourage them to jump so that they can be an anchor for you to also feel inspired and be that cheerleader for them. So thank you for joining me. And remember, you are a member of your own growing community seeking to rise above the bucket. Congratulations, you have done it. You've reached the end of an episode on the Curated Beauty Podcast and have enriched a part of your self-care by discovering something new. I hope this time together added a little perspective to your day and will ultimately boost your confidence and give you the strength to do all the hard things. As we walk through this journey together, follow our Curated Beauty Podcast. And if this resonated with you, share it with a friend, save the episode, and also follow our social media platforms in the show notes. We love to engage with our listeners on all levels.